and thank you for joining us for today's webcast, AI for Advisors, Some Tricks but All Treats, sponsored by YourStake. Today's webcast will provide one CFP, one IWI, and one CFA CE credit. If you have questions on credit, please give us a call via the number on the console. We welcome and encourage your questions. You can type your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll do our best to get to as many of your questions as possible. Materials, including today's presentation, have been made available for download in the Documents folder at the bottom of your screen. We appreciate your feedback. Please take a moment to take our brief survey that is also located at the bottom of your console. We will cover quite a bit of information during today's webcast. If at any point in time you are interested in scheduling a one-on-one meeting with YourStake, please click the blue Confirm button in the meeting request box on your screen. And lastly, in the event you missed any part of today's webcast or simply would like to watch it again, a replay will be made available and all registrants will receive that information by email. I am pleased to introduce our speaker today, Gabe Risman, co-founder and president for YourStake. So Gabe, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much. So today I'm here to talk about artificial intelligence, but I want to start by sharing a little bit more about YourStake and my own background. So I'll kick it off by just sharing that I am the co-founder and president of YourStake, and my background is really in data science and in computational astrophysics. And I'm really excited to be able to bring what I learned there and throughout my experience in AI into the wealth management industry. YourStake itself is a company that's been around since 2019. And we serve over 250 advisory firms with double that number of users, including top RIAs, broker-dealers, TAMPs. And we are focused on providing artificial intelligence technology for wealth management. Specifically, we'll cover this later, brokerage statement extraction and what we call chat with a portfolio, alongside our core of values-based investing, analytics, and reporting. One thing that we take a lot of pride in is our security protocols, which is really important as we're diving more into technology and artificial intelligence. We have been SOC 2 certified, which is the highest standard that can come. So today, what I'm really going to focus on is starting with the past, present, and future of artificial intelligence, just to have everyone on common ground and using common language and understanding of what's really going on. I'll then focus on how AI is going to change the way you work over the next 5 years. And honestly, it can be the next 5 months and for many, the next 5 minutes. And many have been using it for quite a while as well. And then finally, I'm going to cover a specific use case of our new tool called Advisor Core and how that can supercharge your workflow and really help you to grow. Then we'll cover Q&A. And we've already actually gotten a lot of questions coming in, so I'll make sure I'll spend a significant block of time on that Q&A section. So, so far this year, I've been on the road for at least 10 conferences for financial advisors, and everyone wants to talk about how ChatGPT is going to impact financial advice more than anything else. And the question on everyone's mind isn't, will this cause a huge transition in society and this industry? It's how and when. So for the technology, just a quick note on language to start with. What does AI mean? What does artificial intelligence mean? It's actually a term where the goalposts have been moved over time. And it's generally referred to very different technologies that we like to think of it. It's just saying that it's technology that's so advanced that it seems magical. And actually the best AI technologies today, a lot of times there's a problem with explainability and interpretability. We don't even know how they're operating the way that they do. So I'm going to start with the past. This is a picture of John Maynard Keynes. 100 years ago, he predicted that by now automation would replace the need for labor and that people could live with 15-hour work weeks. That hasn't quite happened for most of us, but instead automation has had a very different impact on the way that we work. I think the best example is probably the most transformative technology of his time, in my opinion, the washing machine. why was the washing machine so transformative? And why is it so relevant to what's going on today? Well, by taking a task that used to take a full day and making it less than an hour, the washing machine really freed up time to accelerate women's participation in the workforce, catapulted our society's productivity, and helped people focus on more unique and value-add tasks. So that's really how we like to think of the way that automation and AI impact society. And I'm going to give a little bit more of a history of what's going on. So the first wave of what was called AI came from the late 1960s. So you can see ELIZA is written on the screen, and you can see a couple of the chats and responses. ELIZA was developed at a MIT research lab to see if computers could provide therapy. ELIZA was really rudimentary. It accepted some text from a user and responded with pre-programmed variations on probing follow-up questions. So it would take language from your response or your input, and then it would basically turn the question around. And with all that, ELIZA actually caused a national panic. So participants of the research lab started begging researchers to come back again to chat with ELIZA. One person even fell in love. But for all this fanfare, it was pretty clear that this was not intelligence. It was just programming. There was a lot of if-else statements, if you know what that is. If someone has a word like this, you just turn it around and respond like that. But that led into another major development in the 2010s of machine learning. So you actually interact with this technology all the time. I put a picture of an Amazon recommendation page. You can think of that homepage or Netflix recommendations. Essentially, what machine learning is training machines to recognize patterns of behavior and make really good predictions based on patterns of behavior or other data sets. And a lot of times, what a big focus has been in the 2010s was amassing large quantities of data and running a lot of regressions and machine learning algorithms to be able to get predictive insights and analytics. And that brings us to today. Large language models are really blowing up. The most popular being ChatGPT, and there's Bard and Anthropic and a number of others. And actually, the basic technology is not super new. The pioneering research for large language models came out 10 years ago, and you've been interacting with this type of technology, finding the next word for a long time, like in your phone's auto suggestions when you're typing a text message. But recent advances in computing and a lot of dollars spent on data training, the models took a really big leap forward at the start of this year. And I don't need to tell this audience about all the hype and the stock market impacts. So where is this all going? And what impact does it have on this industry and how advisors can take advantage of it? So first, I want to start with some of the impacts. Some people, including the co-founder of OpenAI, have legitimate concerns about the Terminator scenario. Is AI going to destroy the world through malicious actors or even just buggy code? But really, most people are focused a lot more on the economic impacts. And that's what I'm going to focus on today. I don't think I'm qualified to talk about the Terminator scenarios. So this chart actually comes from a Goldman Sachs report that came out this spring about the rise of ChatGPT. When the report was released, it made headlines for making claims about rapid job loss and certain doomsday economic scenarios. Because people looked at the graphs like this and saw that 2/3 of all occupations are going to be impacted by AI. But there's actually a lot more nuance. So one of the quotes from this article is, "We believe that approximately 2/3 of US occupations are exposed," and that's the key word, exposed, to some degree of AI automation, whereas only an estimated 7% of jobs could be displaced by current levels of AI. And also, they made it very clear, history shows that worker displacement from automation is mostly offset by the creation of new jobs. Bringing things into the advisor context, the AI exposure actually could be dangerous. It's not something that I want to wave away. Um, OpenAI itself put financial services as a top candidate for exposure to current levels of AI. And there are certainly parts of the job that can be done by AI, robo-advisors, and automation. Um, and we also know that the largest wealth management organizations are spending a lot of R&D to try to do exactly that. But I think on the other hand, the exposure can also look a lot like our friend the washing machine. And that's what I really want to talk about today. I think AI is going to really change this industry, not by taking away the jobs, but by freeing up your time so that advisors can focus on the most value add parts of the job and use AI to provide better service to more clients. I'll talk about a lot more specifics as we continue on in this talk. I just want to share a couple things before we get into some polling questions. So first, advisors are generally very bullish on AI, actually. So this survey came out in 2022, even before ChatGPT was released to the world at a large scale. And advisors know that AI is having a huge impact on their lives right now and is only accelerating. And advisors see a lot of strong use cases for AI. They want to use it in the way they want to use all technologies. It's a way to find ways to save time, to get more done, to provide better service, to differentiate from competition. And it also allows them to really go deep. So one thing that I wanted to share is a Michael Kitces report, and this has been echoed by a number of others in the industry, looking at how technical efficiencies over time have helped advisors, what they do with extra time. They are able to serve more clients, and a lot of times advisors are not skipping to the beach and working less, but they are providing better service, and they're doing a more thorough job for more clients. So it's, again, similar to that washing machine scenario where it allows you to be more productive and provide better value to your clients. I'm going to make a couple big claims on this next slide and talk about a little bit of the 5-year view of AI and where are things going, not today, well, partly today, but where things are headed within this industry. So the main thesis is that AI is going to make huge inroads in 2 types of problems. The first being any solved problem. So that's anything that has a correct answer. And it might not even need AI. It's just the slow creep of general technological development within financial services has helped create pretty incredible financial planning tools and financial analysis and other number crunching, which AI can also help with. AI is also going to make huge inroads into any problem that has many correct answers. And this is probably how most of you are using AI or large language models today. It allows you to be able to get a head start on being creative is one way that I often like to describe it. And that means that 3 things. We think that you will be spending a lot less time generating content and maybe no time generating content because you'll always be able to save time by having AI generate the initial information for you to then tweak and review and improve. Actually, I think a lot of what will happen will be a conversation with your AI co-pilot assistant where you say, hey, I want to write something about this and I want it to have this tone. And actually, that's not just the way that people will be creating content, but when a lot of people on our own team of Your Stake code, that's often how it happens. Hey, I want to build this code to do this and it should look like that. And I'm thinking of this approach. I think that's how a lot of people are going to be approaching generalized problem solving. The second thing that means, entering data into spreadsheets and CRMs, the main thesis here is that any information contained somewhere can be put anywhere else automatically and intelligently. So that's something that will save huge amounts of time. And I'm not going to say too much more about that now because that's going to be a big component of the rest of the presentation. And then finally, I already mentioned crunching numbers, but I think portfolio analysis will also become more of a conversation between you and an AI, as if you had a fund manager or an expert right in front of you at all times to be able to explain the decisions made in the portfolio and to be able to explain which factors led to underperformance and overperformance and whatever it might be. So I think the vision, taking all of that together, is that you will have the relationship with the client. Your job will be to make the sale, understand the client, ask all the right questions, and really be that interface and help the client go through this journey of developing a financial plan and building their portfolio. And the AI will be essentially providing a lot of the grunt work and also providing a lot of the answers for once you gather all this information, here's what you can do with it. Later on, we're going to get into the specifics, but we have a couple poll questions first. But what I want to share is the main ways that AI will, in our opinion, impact the financial services, financial advisory space today, not in 5 years, is content creation and marketing, number one. So that means things as simple as meeting notes, like a Fireflies that joins your Zoom call. It means having something create a first draft for your newsletter. It means putting all of your meeting notes into a summarizer and have something that generates a follow-up email. And the main theme there is just time savings. The second thing is automating manual entry. So that means getting information from notes into a CRM, extracting information from tax, estate documents, extracting holdings from brokerage statements. And then finally, an AI paraplanner and portfolio analysis. So that's really something that you're able to more and more, and this is something that Morgan Stanley is really leading on as an example, have a chat with your research analyst where they essentially are taking all of their market commentaries and putting them into a chatbot that has that knowledge. Or what we'll show later today is, I think a step further, is chat with your portfolio. So have the AI be able to represent and understand what's going on within a portfolio to be able to ask probing questions, not need to know exactly what buttons to click, but just have someone or something right there that can help you understand what's going on within a prospect's portfolio and compared to your own. So I think with that, it's time to move into some poll questions. And also, I'm loving that we're getting a bunch of Q&A coming in, so I'll be sure to be efficient with my demo so we can focus on these questions.
Wonderful, and thank you, Dave. So the very first polling question reads, do you plan on growing your practice over the next year? And you can select your answer choice directly on the screen and press submit between yes or no. Again, do you plan on growing your practice over the next year? Yes or no? And as Gabe had mentioned, there are a number of questions that have come through so far, but if you do have any questions for our speaker today, you can submit those in the Q&A box and we'll get to as many of your questions as possible. And we'll just give you another moment here to submit your answer choice. Again, do you plan on growing your practice over the next year? Yes or no? Alrighty, so looks like we got a good amount of results here. So let's go ahead and move on to the results. So looks like about almost 90% saying yes. Alrighty, next polling question. How many hours per week does your team allocate to manual tasks like proposal research and generation, manual statement transcription, and other work? And you can select between the below, between less than 1 hour per week, 2 to 4 hours per week, or more than 5 hours per week. Again, how many hours per week does your team allocate to manual tasks like proposal research and generation, manual statement transcription, and other work? And we will just give you another moment here to submit your answer choice, and then we'll go ahead and move on to the results. Again, you can choose between A, less than 1 hour per week, B, 2 to 4 hours per week, or C, more than 5 hours per week. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and see these results. So it looks like majority are saying more than 5 hours per week, and then we have just under that we have 2 to 4 hours per week. And finally, are you currently using AI tools in your practice now? Yes or no? So again, are you currently using AI tools in your practice now? Yes or no? And again, we do appreciate your feedback, so please do take a moment to take our brief survey that is located on the console at your convenience. And if you are interested in scheduling a follow-up call with your stake, you can select that in the blue box and confirm. Alrighty, we'll give it just another moment here. Are you currently using AI tools in your practice now? All right, so majority are saying no at just around 73%. So Gabe, I will go ahead and turn it back over to you.
Excellent. Thanks so much. And thanks everyone for participating in those poll questions. This makes a lot of sense and is, I think, more on the nose with what I expected than I expected, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to grow their practice, but not everyone. We see all the time when we actually built our tools that I'm about to preview and show, we surveyed a lot of our clients and asked, what is the most frustrating part of your daily life? What do you want to change? And it's really that manual entry stuff. And a lot of people are spending a lot of time on repetitive tasks that can be automated. And then in terms of using AI tools in the practice, I'm actually a little bit surprised that it's 26.8%. I would have expected a little lower, but this time next year, I think those numbers will be flipped, if not everyone using AI technology tools. So next, I'm going to actually introduce Advisor Core. And this is something that is a YourStake product that covers a lot of the functionality that AI can help financial advisors with. I'm going to use it as a reference case, as an example for generally what you can do with AI in your practice. What it's not going to cover is the content and marketing side, but I can speak to that in the Q&A because there have been a couple questions about that. But this is really the pieces that I'm an expert in and think that I can provide the most value by sharing. So what Advisor Core is trying to solve is kind of exactly what we just talked about. We try to help advisors take a prospect and convert that prospect into a client with more effectiveness and more speed. So a higher conversion rate and faster conversions. And what we did, again, surveyed our clients, looked at the biggest barriers to converting a prospect to a client. And the answers are not so surprising. It's a lack of scale, a lack of capacity, and basically the need to be able to move faster to be able to bring on new prospects and clients. And the way that we think about the whole prospecting flow is that the first stages are initial contact with a prospect, initial meeting and request for documents, and then internal analysis of proposal prep, which can take about a week to a month. And then from there, the advisor's job is done, and it's really up to the client to be able to make the decision until you move to the onboarding process. And what we have found, actually, is that the most effective way for advisors to be able to have a higher conversion rate and actually grow more is by moving that 1 week to a month initial proposal time to less than a week. This is something that we've found through studies and also anecdotally talking to advisors, and I'm sure you see it all the time. The faster you're able to respond to a prospect, especially in a competitive situation, the more likely they are to trust you, and the more likely they are to just continue progressing along with you while the competitive advisor is still a week behind and putting together that initial analysis. So I really want to emphasize that point. The improvements to speed and efficiency are not just cost-cutting measures. They definitely cut costs and make things cheaper and faster for sure, but they're also major growth opportunities. So one example is just being able to, exactly like I said, bring on prospects faster to be able to improve your conversion rate. But another is actually even being able to serve a client at all. So we had a story of an advisor that just 2 weeks ago was trying to win business for a national nonprofit. And they had a 150-page brokerage statement with over 1,000 different holdings. And they were not going to be able to run an analysis and even compete for the business. But luckily, we had talked to them and just started working with them. They were able to upload that statement into our system. Within 8 minutes, it extracted all the holdings and ran an automatic analysis. And they were able to immediately be able to actually compete for that business, and they did win that business with this national nonprofit. So that's something that we really see AI not just helping with speed, but also with growth. And I think what I'm going to do next is uh, dive into a little bit of a demo. So I'll pull this up actually at the end, but first I'll pull up the screen share. Okay. Natalie or Jack, can you let me know if my screen is properly showing?
Yes, I can see it just fine.
Perfect. Thanks so much. So what I'm going to show you now is Advisor Core by YourStake. And this is honestly really 3 products in one. So the first product is what I alluded to. You upload one or several brokerage statements, and you're able to automatically get an extract of all of the holdings into a spreadsheet form, and then you're able to run an instant portfolio analysis. So I'm going to click Upload New. I'm going to go to our sample statements. I'm going to go to our account statement. And then what this is actually a sample TD Ameritrade statement. This is something that we found brings back a lot of nostalgia for the old TD advisors. But this can work with any statement type. This looks pretty familiar, and what it can do is it can translate this and take all of the holdings that you see here and turn it into, again, an actual portfolio analysis and a spreadsheet extract. This particular statement, I'll just note, does not happen to have cost basis. If cost basis is included, that's something that will be part of the extract and export. One thing I also want to share, a really cool thing that allows this to work, is this works not just with statements that are downloaded from TD Ameritrade on the internet, but it also works for scanned statements. And we've even seen statements where people have their shadow of themselves holding up a phone to try to take a picture of the statement. And it is still able to go through using our OCR technology. So step 1 is upload one or multiple statements. And here we go. In about 45 seconds, it's ready for download. And what we can do is we can click to download this CSV file or Excel, a spreadsheet. And here we go. So yeah, again, we see the symbol, the name, the quantity, cost basis is there if it's on the statement, market value, fees, security type, and the account. If there are multiple accounts, you'd be able to see everything broken out by the different account to be able to separate things out for when you're running your analysis as well. So that on its own is actually a really compelling initial product. We've found a lot of advisors, especially actually anyone in growth mode that's getting a lot of statements, just getting a lot of value just from taking the information from a document and extracting it into a spreadsheet. This is not unique to brokerage statements, actually. There's a lot of people using tools that take the information from a tax statement and extract that, or an estate plan. And that's something that I mentioned earlier, and think very soon you're going to have a way to just upload all of your financial documents that you have about a particular prospect or client and be able to get all the analytics that you need immediately. But for now, YourStake provides that brokerage statement extraction. So what we can do next is, actually one last thing there. So we do have a lot of advisors that are using this that are kind of solo advisors that are bootstrapped and don't have that much time to be able to do all this analysis, and it saves them a lot of time. And we also have some of the top RIAs in the country that are uploading 5 to 10 of these per day to just really streamline their processes. So the next thing that we can do is run an analysis. So I'll start by selecting a risk level. And this is something that YourStake has, a risk tolerance questionnaire. I believe this is part of the materials, or we can send it to you after the call. But it's a pretty standard risk tolerance questionnaire. You can use that to automatically get the risk level, or we recognize advisors already have plenty of risk tolerance questionnaire solutions. So if you want, you can just select whatever risk tolerance that you want to analyze for your client. The next thing that you can do is actually analyze things from a values alignment perspective. So kind of just providing the most value. This is an optional thing. Both of these are optional, but we can say, hey, my client cares about the planet. They care about fossil fuels, and they care about health. And then we're able to run an analysis there. And then the last thing is, by default, you're seeing a comparison with the S&P 500, but you can create any benchmark you want. So that can be 60/40 ACWI-AG if you want it to be. And you can actually compare with any portfolio that is in the Your Stake system. So you can compare one statement to another statement. You can compare this statement to your proposed model portfolio. And that can be actually the way that most people are using this, is they're comparing their prospect statement, or again, multiple, we can add another item, to a model portfolio that they have, to be able to do that side-by-side comparison and demonstrate how it's going to be better alignment from a risk, values, and other financial metric perspective. So for now, I'm actually going to stick with S&P 500 because people are familiar with it, and you wouldn't know the random model portfolio that I have. So I'll click Run Analysis. Cool. So what we now see is a little bit of an overview page to start with. Risk, values, sector breakdown, asset class, returns, volatility, fees, market cap. But we found that you can see the overview page, or you can also just click through all of the sections. So we can start by clicking on the holdings. This is exactly what you saw in that spreadsheet download, but you can also see it on the web page. One thing to note is that we've got a $27,000 portfolio, and this particular portfolio has a $16,000 cash position. And that makes sense that we would see that reflected on the risk alignment. So we can see that this is a conservative portfolio, an 18.5 risk score, whereas our client risk score is more on the aggressive side, and we're able to see that the S&P 500, or usually what people will do is, my proposed portfolio is going to be a better alignment for your particular risk needs and preferences. I'll just share that all of our methodologies are included at the bottom of each page, but that's something that we're happy to send over, and this particular score is based on drawdown. Happy to have that conversation. The next thing that we can go into is, okay, so we have this 18.5 risk score. Let's take a look at the asset class breakdown, and we're able to see, yes, that cash is a big component. There's a little bit of bonds, and this is looking through the funds, by the way. So if we want to see where's the bond exposure coming from, we can see where that is coming from within each fund. We can do the same thing with equity sector breakdown. So for example, I want to be able to click onto real estate to be able to see where things are coming from a real estate perspective. We can see that it's coming from primarily funds, and be able to get more information there. The next thing that we can click on is our values alignment, where we can see that overall our account statement is actually underperforming the S&P 500 on these different values metrics: health defender, planet protector, and fossil fuel industry exposure. And we do have a whole section of the Your Stake site where, if you do have a client that wants to really dive in from a values-based perspective, we can click in to launch this full report and be able to see additional information here on kind of what's going on within the portfolio from a values-based perspective. Next, we got trailing returns and trailing volatility, fees from fund expenses, and market cap breakdown. And what we're able to see is that actually we have the ability to have a chat with our portfolio as well. So what I did actually while the thing was loading is we're able to see here information about what's going on within the portfolio, and the ability to ask a question of the chat. So I asked the most common question that we see coming up all the time, which is, why does my account statement underperform the S&P 500? And we can see that it's able to answer the question: the underperformance of the account statement can be attributed to asset allocation, sector allocation, international exposure, and the individual holdings. And then if we want to ask a follow-up question of, hey, well, maybe the fees are causing some issue, what's going on from that perspective? We're able to ask the same thing here and be able to get an answer from the chat. So I can ask, which funds have the highest expense ratios? And then the chat is able to give an answer here as well. So what I really, really, really want to highlight here is that this chat with a portfolio feature is something that can be scary. And we actually got one question on the initial questions that were asked before this presentation of someone mentioning that there was an example of, I think, lawyers who tried to be able to present a case. And as part of their research, they asked ChatGPT for some case history. And the lawyer actually used that information from ChatGPT as part of their presentation. And it turned out that all of the cases that were cited by ChatGPT were completely made up and false. And the technical term for that is called a hallucination. So that's something that can be very dangerous. If you just were to go into ChatGPT and say, hey, here's my portfolio, can you tell me about the expense ratio of these funds? It will get the answer wrong. So what our innovation at YourStake is here with this chat with a portfolio feature is to be able to take the information in our database. We have all the information about expense ratios. We have all the information about returns. We have all the information about asset classes. And we're able to feed that into the chat and into the artificial intelligence system to be able to provide an experience that doesn't have those same hallucinations, and an experience that you're able to actually trust to be able to not make up knowledge on its own, but it's really just acting as a seeker of finding where that knowledge exists within the YourStake database, and then repackaging that into a chat experience where you'll be able to ask questions and have those follow-ups. So then that's kind of the second product. So again, product number one is extract information from a portfolio or from a brokerage statement and turn it into a portfolio. Number two is just run your standard analysis with a lot of the metrics that you're very used to seeing, and be able to have a chat with that portfolio so that you don't need to learn all the new buttons to click on every new tool, but you can just ask any question and it's able to give you the answer there. And this, by the way, is something that this idea of using the information from a deterministic database to be able to power answers is something that's very similar to what's being used by Morgan Stanley, where they have research analysts or the market commentaries as the primary source of information, where the AI is able to pull from that. I believe even Morningstar is doing something similar, where they're pulling information from analyst ratings to be able to help provide context. I'm not aware, and there could be this, but I'm not aware of any functionality other than what we're doing right now that actually allows you to chat with a specific prospect's portfolio, though. So again, from a speed perspective, this does really speed up your ability to understand and analyze the portfolio to then create a presentation. And then finally, we're able to export this presentation into a PowerPoint file. And I'll just load this. I have it loaded up already with the logo scrubbed, but this is something that can be co-branded with your own logo. And you're able to see that it's able to export all the information from the sections into a PowerPoint or a Google slide. And then you're able to make edits. So one of the big pieces of feedback that we received from advisors is that PDFs are great, but they can be frustrating when you want to change a word or two. So this allows you to put things in your own voice. And just like AI content creation, as I talked about at the start, it's a really great first draft for you to then be able to take and make tweaks if you need to, or just use it directly out of the box, which we have a number of advisors doing as well. So from there, I believe, where was I? Here we are. Those are the main things that I really want to share about the YourStake tool. It's something that a lot of advisors today are using to be able to extract information from a brokerage statement, ask questions, be able to have this presentation mode to be able to make your life hopefully more enjoyable by avoiding manual entry, make things faster, make things more efficient. And we've seen it really help advisors win more prospects into clients. So I think I'm going to stop sharing now and pull up our final slide, which has information on how you can get access to your stake. We actually have a special code right now where it's just $100 a month to get access to all the tools that I showed you with no annual commitment. So that's it looks like my cat might be joining in a sec. So that's something that if you want to scan, or we also have the link available in the materials, you can do that to be able to get access. I think it probably makes sense to go into questions. I see around 30 questions, so I will try to get to as many as we can, and for the rest, we can follow up with you individually. So
Great. And thank you, Gabe, for such an informative discussion. Just as a reminder, materials can be found in the documents folder at the bottom of your screen. We appreciate your feedback. Please take a moment to fill out our brief survey that is also located at the bottom of your screen. Our speaker will be taking advisor questions. Please type your questions in the box underneath the media player window, and we'll get to as many of your questions as possible. In the event your question is not answered on today's webcast, a member of the Your Stake team will reach out to you directly. And if you'd like to have a conversation to further discuss the ideas that were covered during today's event, please click the blue confirm button in the media request box on your screen. So with that, Gabe, I will turn it back over to you for some questions.
Sure. And I've just been scrolling through now. I wasn't able to see when I was screen sharing, but I'll try to group a couple of them together. So let's see. I see 2 questions about the values-based investing component. And yes, the answer is that we do provide faith-based values, and we provide a lot of personalization to cover clients across the values-based investing spectrum. So a lot of times people think of that as faith-based and ESG. We really prefer the term values-based investing because it's really just what are the values of the client that you have, and that could be really anything. And people don't really fit into neat buckets all the time. So yes, it covers a number of different values. Happy to cover that more. The next question came about the accuracy of the OCR technology that we're using. It is true that every OCR technology is not 100% accurate. Generally, the rule of thumb is that if a person can read it and understand it and not make mistakes, the OCR technology can also do the same. There are always going to be exceptions. But what we do is we have a way of recognizing that and still providing value. So a lot of I often like to describe the AI technology as an engine. It's like a source of power. And what you need to do as a product developer like Your Stake is be able to take that engine or take that turbine or whatever it might be and build an infrastructure around it to make it useful. So one of the biggest things that we do is we have a really robust system of internal checks where if there's anything that might be a little bit fishy, we will raise a flag. And then we also run a lot of checks to make sure, for example, do the sum of all the holdings add up to the total account value listed on the statement, and other things like that to be able to make sure that if it's not accurate, we let you know, and whenever it's not accurate, we generally have a turnaround time similar to other extraction technologies where you can still just sit there and then it'll be loaded into your account and our team will send over the correct information generally within 24 hours, often less time. So right now the accuracy is about 85-90%, and it's something that again, we are able to fill in the gaps, and the accuracy is improving every single day. So that's one of the good things about the AI technology is that it's able to learn. Hopefully that answered your question, Eric, and feel free to follow up. Let's see. The next question that a lot of people have been asking is around security and AI. So that's another news story that has come up a lot, right? Of people that were using ChatGPT and they put some trade secrets in it, and then that ended up showing up later on in some other person's response that they got just from talking to ChatGPT. We take security extremely seriously, so we're SOC 2 certified, which is the highest security standard. We only work with other vendors that have the same security standards. And when you are working as an enterprise with a lot of these AI technologies, which we do, there are enterprise protections in place where it's not like us just typing things into ChatGPT. None of the data is able to be used to train any of the models, and none of the data gets stored or used for anything like that. So the data security is something that we focus on a ton, and happy to talk more or share our documentation. But we recognize and totally understand the concern that people have. That's something that we really focus on. Let's see. One other question that has come up is around our feature roadmap, which is one of my favorite questions, because our culture at YourStake is we always try to iterate extremely fast and always listen to client feedback and build new functionality. One of the big things that we're doing as part of the feature roadmap is when you upload a statement, not only will you be able to run analysis compared to your portfolio, but it'll be able to use AI technology to help you either construct a new portfolio automatically, which could be a direct index portfolio, or find the best fit portfolio of your existing models that you've loaded into the system to help you figure out what's going to be the best fit based on the statements that you've uploaded for the prospect. One other feature that we're really excited about is right now our system works for statements that contain tickers or QSIPs, but there's always that challenge of a lot of times retirement statements, which just list the name of the fund and don't always have the ticker symbol. Right now, because of our technology, it's just using the OCR. It's only able to function when there's a ticker or QSIP listed, but we're going to release either this month meaning November, or December, what we call Magic Ticker Fill, where the AI is going to be able to find the best fit ticker symbol and fund for the whatever's listed by name, and then annotate it with notes. So sometimes it's going to be an exact match. Sometimes it's going to be, hey, this is an SMA or an internal retirement fund, but here's a publicly traded fund that's got a similar profile or things like that. So that's something that we're really excited about, as well as our Magic Ticker Fill. Those are some of the exciting things on the near-term roadmap. The long-term roadmap, happy to chat about further, but I think I kind of described it with the 5-year vision of upload and share all the information that you have on a client or prospect and be able to get all the analytics and information you need back. Let's see. Got a bunch more questions coming in. And actually, Jack and Natalie, if you see any themes as well that are standing out, just put them in the internal chat or let me know. Oh, that would be the cat. Let's see. Okay, so we got a couple other questions about the chat. One question is the chat feature an AI, and is it built with preset logic to calculate answers and an established set of FAQs? That's actually a pretty good way of describing it. So we have all the information of what advisors are likely to ask on a page and have those preset answers, and the chat is taking the question that gets asked and mapping it to either those preset answers or just the raw data that it has access to within our database. And then it's using its intelligence to be able to provide an answer that's in paragraph form and be able to engage with you in a back and forth as well. can the software make suggestions to bring the portfolio performance closer to the S&P return? That is something that's on our roadmap. So as part of that, find the best fit portfolio or build the new one, the transition analysis will be a key part of that, to be able to show not just what an ideal portfolio might look like, but the steps in getting there from a tax perspective, from a transition perspective. Looks like, let's see. Can you run analysis with multiple statements providing a holistic report of all accounts? Yes, you can. So I only uploaded one statement just for simplicity for this demo, but you can upload multiple statements, run a report on all those statements, or you can select, hey, I want the Fidelity, the Schwab, and the Apex, and I want to ignore this other one. You can select multiple, essentially. So you're able to control which statements you run a report on. And you can do that within a particular client household. So I want to see all these 3 statements, or you can just do, honestly, arbitrary. I want to run these 7 portfolios all in one. So it is flexible to be able to do that. Let's see. Another chat question, what's the range of questions that could be asked about the new AI chat feature? Are they contained within the portfolio, or does it pull outside data analytics? Yes, it is questions about the portfolios. It's not set up to answer questions about things outside of the portfolio. It's specific to the portfolios that are loaded into the system. There are going to be some things that it doesn't know the answer to as well, and it will generally let you know that it doesn't have that information. It is set up to be narrowly focused to make sure it's answering questions that are deterministic and avoid those hallucinations. Let's see. There's a question about analyzing annuities and index-based annuities and fees. That would be similar to our magic ticker fill. It's going to find the closest fit fund with a ticker symbol. Let's see. We got a question from a current client. If you buy Advisor Core, will it integrate with the current Your Stake program? Yes. Yes, it will. Is there a way to create a default disclaimer? Yes, there is. And Krista, we can follow up on exactly how you can do that. Let's see. There are a couple other questions that are on here that I don't know if I fully understand, so I might be sending follow-ups to folks that ask those. And let's see. We got a question early on about what we recommend advisors do to ensure the product from AI integration is accurate and complete in the client's best interest. I think that is something that just using a general purpose tool, every tool does have danger. I'm not going to wave away everything. There's still a duty of the financial advisor to review any output that comes. But when you're using a generic tool like ChatGPT versus a tool that's been custom designed with a lot of guardrails, there's a big difference in terms of the quality and the reliability of what you can expect. Cool. Are there other aspects of wealth management that you're looking at in terms of new features and solutions for the platform? So in terms of the roadmap, I think that the first step is the complete flow of upload all of the statements from a prospect, and it's the proposal flow, prospect to client. Upload all the statements from a prospect, be able to get all the information extracted, conduct an analysis, generate a proposal presentation, and then also soon on the roadmap is find your portfolio or build your portfolio that's going to be the best fit for them. So that's, in a sense, a complete loop. Now, there's a lot of other technologies. I think Holistiplan is probably the one that has the biggest name right now that are using similar technology for tax information. There's some that are using it for estate and other things. We generally see that our statement technology that we built is pretty general purpose and can evolve into other types of documents and types of information. So that's a bit more on the longer term of the roadmap, but we do expect that with additional statements that we're extracting and analyzing, we'll be able to provide additional analytics as well. Looks like we got another question. Will I be able to load in a portfolio that I previously uploaded as a PDF in the analytics to compare it to my model portfolios? Yes. Yeah, you can run an analysis on a statement that you upload right now, or you can just search in the search box for any portfolio that has already been uploaded in the system and be able to run analysis there. One other thing I'll add, actually, maybe this is a better answer to Eric's question. We are adding additional analytics as well. So, for example, top holdings concentration, stress testing, those are on the much nearer term roadmap. And we constantly focus on security as one, but simplicity is another. We really, really want to make sure things don't overwhelm clients. So actually, I didn't mention it when I was showing my screen, but every single tab of that presentation has a little button that says include in presentation, yes or no. And you can get more analytics, but still keep the presentation to your client super simple by being able to decide what you want to actually show in that presentation. Cool. I may be missing some questions because there are a ton that came in. I tried my best to scroll and group them together, but I think this might be a good stopping point, and then our team will go through after this webinar and make sure that every question that came through does get answered. So apologies if I didn't get to your question on the live session today, but I think this might be a good stopping point to turn it back over to Natalie because we only have a minute or so left.
Great. And thank you again, Gabe, for such an informative discussion. Just as a reminder, materials have been made available for download, and they can be found in the documents folder at the bottom of your screen. We appreciate your feedback. Please take a moment to fill out our brief survey, also located at the bottom of your screen. And if you'd like to have a conversation to further discuss the ideas that were covered during today's event, please click the blue confirm button in the meeting request box on your screen. I want to thank everyone for joining and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much, Natalie.